All right.
Nothing
Whenever
special.
I get to that part, I'm always like, ah. Good morning. My name is Jenny Hobbs, and I serve on the board of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. I welcome everyone to our service this morning and welcome visitors to our open and inclusive community of faith. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another as we explore these paths. I would like to especially welcome our guests and welcome again those who have visited us before. Visitors, it is the custom of our congregation to invite you to stand and give your name and where you are from, if you feel comfortable doing so. Are there any visitors who would like to introduce themselves today? Hi.
Hi, my name is Colin. I'm living in Woodbridge for the year, but I'm from Philadelphia.
Welcome, Colin. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, welcome to everyone visiting today. Please join us after the service for coffee hour. We would love to have a chance to get to know you better. Our minister, Reverend Tom Capo, our congregational life coordinator, Mary Law, and all our members are eager to meet you. I will also be present after the service in Creeves Hall, and I would be happy to speak with you as well. Our service can be heard outside the glass doors at the back of the sanctuary. Should anyone feel the need to leave the service for any reason, there are chairs provided for your convenience. And as we begin our service, please silence all electronic devices. Thank you. We have one special announcement today from Karen Campbell.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm a teacher at Jefferson Junior High and a couple elementaries, and I have a student who is in end-stage renal failure. He is named Iman Ahmed, and I have permission to share this from our school nurse. He's suffering from a rare condition called atypical hemolytic uremia syndrome, and he's on dialysis 4 times a week and on the transplant list. And he's had a tough year because he's been in and out of the hospital and hasn't been able to attend school more than a couple of times. So his parents are actively searching for a donor and asked that we share his story in hopes that if word gets out, a donor might be found sooner for him. And it does not have to be a child. It can be an adult. You would just have to have B positive or O positive blood type. And the process would be to contact Lurie Children's Hospital, and I have the number and anything that you might need to know. If you know of anybody that would be willing to do that for this guy, here he is. He's so nice. He's a sweet person, and I feel really bad for him. And if anybody knows anybody that's willing to do that for him, please get in touch with me. Thanks.
For every person, there comes a time when they cease to be passive recipients of the traditions that their parents and teachers seek to hand on to them. When they become active participants themselves in their commitment to discovering the meaning of their heritage. Each year, I invite students to claim the traditions of Unitarian Universalism for themselves by becoming chalice lighters. These young people spend time with their parents and with each other, thinking about the meaning of the flaming chalice and about the purposes and principles of the Unitarian Universalist Association. This morning, we recognize Sasha Rubin, Amelia Martinson, and Harper Harcharik. Sasha was installed at the first service, but we have Harper and Amelia for today, or for this service. So we invite them into a more active role in the worship life of our congregation. These youth will be joining a group of their peers that help open the service each Sunday morning by lighting the chalice for us. Today, they will together light the chalice and recite one of the principles of Unitarian Universalism that seems especially meaningful for them.
We light our chalice this morning in respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
We light our chalice this morning for the right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregations and society at large.
Sasha and Amelia. We name you chalice lighter here at this congregation. Know that we rejoice in you, for you are the future of our faith. Remember that you represent a living tradition, Unitarian Universalism, and strive to live with courage, honesty, and hope in all that you do. Let your heart be loving, compassionate to others, and grateful for all that the world holds. Carry in your spirit the flame you light today. May the light of truth always help you find your way. May the warmth of community always restore you. And may the fire of commitment burn within you for all that is good and just and true. Good morning. I am Reverend Tom Capo, the minister here at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, and welcome to those watching us on YouTube today. So this month, we're going to explore what it means to be a people of mystery. Many of the world's rational thinkers find that the more they learn, the more they appreciate the majesty and magnificent mystery of life that grows all around us. And couldn't this be at least a workable definition of spirituality? Learning that deepens your appreciation for the magnitude of life. The mind can play a large role in our understanding of our own spirituality and practices. Listen to this quote by Albert Einstein. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. So today, I'd like to invite you to consider your holy curiosities, whatever they might be. You might ask yourself, what fascinates you? Machines, the Milky Way, birds, bread dough, electromagnetic radiation. Think about what it is that fascinates you. Please rise now. I forgot. Please rise now in body and spirit, and let's sing. We're going to sing Spirit of Life. Words will be projected. So I was thinking about mystery and looking around and trying to find something that kind of touched me about all this. And I found this wonderful book by Ananka Harris. And so I'd like to share it with you today. Eva loves to look for the moon. It follows her from place to place, disappearing behind trees and mountains, and then appearing again someplace new. "Look, Mama, there it is," she says. "The moon looks so beautiful in the sky. How do you think it follows us, Eva?" Eva thought about it, but she couldn't figure it out. And her mother said, "It's okay to say, I don't know, when you don't know something. And we can all wonder about it together." Eva thought and thought. She said, "I wonder if the moon and the earth are friends." Her mother smiles and said, "I like that idea." Eva says, "But Mama, how does the moon really stay so close to us?" "Well, dear, there's an invisible force called gravity that pulls all the things in the universe together. Gravity keeps the moon close to the earth, and it keeps the planets close to the sun, too. And they circle around like this." Well, Eva understood a little bit better, but then she started to wonder again. "Mama, where does gravity come from?" Eva's mother looked. I don't know, Eva. Nobody really knows for sure. And when nobody knows for sure about something, it's called a mystery. A mystery is something for everyone to wonder about together. How fun, Eva thought, and imagines herself wandering around gravity together, wondering about gravity together with all the other people in the world. Eva watches the moon disappear behind the clouds as she walks, excited to see where it'll appear next. She turns to her mother and she says, "How many grains of sand are in the whole world?" Oh, Mother says, "I wonder that too. There are trillions and trillions of grains of sand, but nobody exactly knows how many. Eva tries to think about that, think about all the sand in all the world. And she says, it feels so big that I can't fit it into my imagination. It makes me feel dizzy. I feel like I'm going to fall down. Her mother agrees. I know what you mean. I'm sure a lot of other people think that way too. Eva walks down another path, looking for the moon. And a little orange butterfly appears. And then she notices there are butterflies everywhere. Mama, where did all these butterflies come from? And her mother says, these butterflies have been flying around here for a few days. But you know, they started out as caterpillars, and those caterpillars came from eggs, and the eggs came from other butterflies. There are cycles all around us, with one ending and another beginning. Things are always changing. Can you think of other things that change? And Eva thought, and she thought, clouds, frogs, and I changed too. Later, Eva wonders, Mom, what was here before butterflies and frogs and clouds? Before everything. And her mother answers, I don't know. It's another mystery. I like trying to imagine what was here before the beginning of everything. What do you think was here, Eva? And Eva smiled. She said, I don't know. And Eva thought and thought for a long time, and then an idea came to her. I wonder if there were feelings. As she walks home, Eva sees the moon again, glowing brightly above the roof of her house. She says, let's go inside, Mom, and look at the moon through the window. We live with big mysteries. When we come upon one, we're given a little gift. Every mystery is something for all of us to wonder about together. What do you wonder about?
Please rise in body or spirit, and let us join together in singing hymn number 343 in the gray hymnal, A Fire Mist and a Planet. We're going to sing verses 1 and 2. The words will be projected.
A fire mist and a
religious man approached a mystic and asked, "Does God exist?" "Allow me to go within for an answer," the mystic replied. And after meditating for quite some time, expanding her heart consciousness to embrace the totality of existence, she answered, "I do not know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is more mysterious and more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you and I are part of something so much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek." And then the religious man approached a scientist. "Does God exist?" he asked. "Let me think," the scientist replied. And so she thought. She thought about the vastness of the universe, 156 billion light years, or something like 936 billion trillion miles in diameter, and the almost immeasurable smallness of a quark. She thought of how the energy of the Big Bang fuels the beating of her own heart. And then she answered, "I do not know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is more mysterious and more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you and I are part of something so much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek." And then the religious man thought to himself. He thought of what he knows and what he does not know. He thought about how he knows what he knows and how he knows he doesn't know what he doesn't know. He thought about his existence of the world and how it is but one tiny infinitesimal fraction of all experience. He thought about his dependence on forces larger than himself, and he thought about the interdependence of all existence. He experienced wonder and pondered mystery, and then he knew. He knew in his soul the truth of what the mystic and the scientist said, that he is part of something so much larger than his own life. And then, only then, did he think about what he'd call it.
Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing verse 3 and 4 of A Fire, Mist, and a Planet. The words will be projected to your left.
Young at heart. Join me up here on the gathering quilt. I'd like to share a story with you. Now, you may have noticed that our service today on mystery has been science related. And that's because one of the Unitarian Universalist sources says that our principles come from the use of reason and the discoveries of science. We learn by using our minds. We value being able to say, I don't know. But then going out to learn and discover the answers to our wondering. So today I have a story about a person that did that and grew up to be a famous scientist. So in a neighborhood of stars, on the third planet from the sun, in a big city, in a small apartment, lived a boy named Carl. Carl was curious about everything. He found the world around him astonishing. His imagination took him out of his neighborhood. One day, he heard an announcement on the radio about the 1939 World's Fair, which had a Land of Tomorrow. The World's Fair was like nothing Carl had ever seen before. There was a mechanical man and a time capsule filled with messages to the future. Carl thought about the stars hanging down like light bulbs on long black wires. So the next morning, he set out to discover the answer. At the library, he asked for a book about stars. Can you see what book he got? What book did he get? He got a book on movie stars. It was the wrong book. So when the librarian came back with the right book, Carl's heart beat faster with every page he turned. He read that each star is a sun, and if you traveled into space for many years and then looked back at our sun, it would look dim like a star. Our sun is a big ball of fiery gas held together by gravity. 9 planets, including Earth, orbit around it in our solar system. Carl read that many scientists suspected that other stars have planets circling them too. Carl was curious. He imagined what he would find if he could travel to the stars. And he read stories written by people who imagined what life might be like on other planets. And his favorite character, John Carter, could stand with his arms outstretched and wish himself to Mars. But when Carl did it, nothing happened. Carl set out to learn more. He studied life and space and became Dr. Carl Sagan. Carl longed to know what other planets were like. He worked with other scientists to send mechanical explorers to investigate the planets close to us. And they took pictures, and they gathered data, and sent them back to Earth. It gave Carl goosebumps to think about what he had learned about the stars and planets and the beginnings of life. He wanted everyone to understand so that they could feel like a part of the stars as he did. So, he went on television. He said things like, "The very matter that makes us up was generated long ago and far away in red giant stars. The earth and everything living are made of star stuff. The stars made the ingredients of life. Could those ingredients have resulted in life elsewhere too?" Carl and his fellow scientists got ready to launch the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft on a grand tour of the outer solar system to gather more pictures and data. And after that, they would be bound for the stars. An idea gripped Carl. A message from our world could be attached to each spaceship, like a time capsule, and taken beyond our star. And it had a recording of sounds, greetings in different languages, music, a heartbeat, and pictures. The twin Voyagers rocketed to space carrying their friendly greeting because Carl thought it would be impolite not to say hello. They traveled through our solar system and continued farther than any other spaceships have gone before. A curious man made of star stuff launched a spacecraft on an adventure to explore beyond our neighborhood of planets. As the Voyagers continue into interstellar space, they are carried by the imagination of a boy named Carl. Carl was fascinated by the stars. I would like for us to make a star field. See that black wall over there? I want us to make some stars and to put them on the wall. Do you know how to make stars? Fold it in half again, fold it diagonally one more time, and all it takes is one cut. And we have a star. And you can make many different size stars. So there's different size squares over there. You know what else is mysterious? Snowflakes.
Oh, I know how to make snowflakes. Me too. I know how to.
Because snowflakes are all different, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit while I'm cutting this out. So we talked about the Voyager. Carl Sagan sent the Voyager to space, to two Voyagers, 1 and 2. Those were sent 40 years ago, 41 years ago. They have reached, one of them has reached outside of our solar system. And we still talk to it. Yeah.
How does the connection still stay up?
It's a very long connection. You know how long it takes for us to talk to it? It takes over 20 hours for what we say to it to reach it. That means it is 20-hour, light takes 20 hours to get from here to the Voyager. Now it used to take pictures. The pictures are turned off, but it detects gamma rays, it detects what's in the solar system at that area, and it sends that information to us. And you can actually go online and download or look at all the data that is collected over the past 40 years. So my snowflake kind of did the same thing, but rather than just one cut, I did a bunch of cuts. And this one happens to have chalices on it. So we're going to go over there. I have some scissors, kid-friendly scissors. I have older kid-friendly scissors too, if anybody else wants to come join us. And we're going to go over and we're going to add some stars and make a star field. You ready?
No.
We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give to affirm our diversity and our unity, and we give because we value our holy curiosities. The morning's offering will now be given and received.
Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But nobody knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they want you gone, gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of a Savior if in simple ways you lack. Some say they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots and little sweet peas. I think I'll just let the misery be. Everybody's wondering what and where I came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go and the whole thing's done. But nobody knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Say they're going to a place called glory, and I ain't saying it ain't a fact. But I've heard I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love, and I live my life accordingly. I think I'll just let the mystery be. I'll just let the mystery be. I think I'll just let the mystery be.
Thank you, John. That was fabulous. Did you listen to the words? Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're going to go when the whole thing's done, but no one knows for certain. So if it's all the same to me, I think I'll just let the mystery be. So how do you respond to mystery? What are our many responses to mystery? Can we experience wonder and awe without always trying to break mystery down into some easily defined component parts? Can we embrace the idea that there are some limits to our knowledge? Should we? As I mentioned, I was really struck by Annika Harris's book, I Wonder, in preparing for this service. She feels so passionate about adults letting children experience mystery and wonder without pushing them into coming up with immediate, definitive conclusions about what they're experiencing. She even put in her author's note the following: I believe that one of the most important gifts we can give our children is the confidence to say, I don't know. It's the foundation from which we begin our investigation of the world, asking questions, taking the necessary time to understand the answers, and searching for new answers when the ones we have in hand don't seem to work anymore. The feeling of not knowing is also the source of wonder and awe. He says, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate the feeling of awe and wonder in our children as the foundation for all learning. Let's teach our children to say, I don't know, and help them understand the power behind it. Let's talk to them about the limits of our own knowledge, and that there is so much for all of us to wonder about together. You know, there really is a lot out there for us to wonder about together. Sometimes it's something we experience in the world, a sunset. Sometimes it's a scientific discovery that causes us to have more questions. Sometimes it's something that just bubbles up within us, that creates a question, a mystery. For instance, What bubbles up within me frequently is when I wonder about the relationship between science and religion. So when an opportunity comes up where I can think about it or talk about it, I jump on that. And that happened just Thursday night. I went to the College of DuPage, and they had a presentation there called Science and Religion. Is there a conflict between them? It was sponsored by the Philosophy and Religious Studies Department. There were 3 presenters, but the first one really caught me, and I think caught the rest of the audience too, because we really engaged in a discussion about this. The first presenter talked about the non-overlapping magisteria, or NOMA thesis. Now, I'd never heard about it before, so I was really curious. The thesis states there should not be any overlap between the realms of science and religion. Science should stay in its own lane, trying to figure out how the universe works, the factual nature of the natural world, and developing theories about how all that fits together. And religion should stay in its own lane of exploring human purpose, meaning, values, and the supernatural. Well, that didn't sit as well with the members of the audience. And so we engaged in a fairly passionate conversation, and it became evident that it's difficult for religion and science to stay in their own lanes. It can be very problematic, too. Religion often uses stories and metaphors to help people develop wisdom, ethics, and morals. But sometimes religion tries to explain physical phenomena or history without facts to back them up. And science has helped us understand so many ways that the universe works. And it's helped create medicines and harnessed electricity and so many things that have helped us and make our world a little easier to live in. But sometimes science is used to manipulate the physical world without regard for values and ethics, as has happened recently when a scientist used genetic engineering to alter a human embryo's DNA. But science and history, science and religion, are 2 very human responses to mystery. But they are not as discreet as I once thought before I went into that presentation. You see, when we experience a mystery or we have a question bubble up inside of us, we experience a nudge, a prod by it, seeking a response from us to try to figure it out. It could be a scientific exploration or a search for truth and meaning, or we could just let that prod sit within us and let the mystery be without explaining it. Which serves us best? The scientific method, a holy curiosity, or simple, humble awe and wonder at some question or experience? Do we have to choose one response over another? Perhaps one approach can serve us at one time, and another approach another. And you know, is our response somehow dependent on us? Our mood, our needs, our beliefs? Within each of us, we have developed, or are in the process of developing, our own truth about the universe. Some of us believe that existence is about survival, reproduction, neurons, and brain structures. Some of us believe existence is about values, meanings, purpose, spirit. Most of us believe a little of both, science and religion. So here's a question for a Unitarian Universalist. Can we resist the urge to quantify mystery? I don't think we can. And why would we want to? We used to think atoms were the smallest piece of matter in the universe, but now we know about quarks and leptons, and there might be even something smaller out there. And we want to know. The thing is, we humans want to know why everything happens and what causes everything to happen. And at least for me, though, the reality is we can't. But I also believe we shouldn't stop trying to understand as much as we can. But I also realize that we can't know everything. Our body, our brains can't understand everything. And we have a limited lifespan. So we have a choice, given our limitations. How do we respond to mystery? You know, one of the reasons that we seek out answers is because when we don't know the answer to something, we don't feel safe. And knowing an answer can help us feel a little more secure, a little more at ease. Not knowing answers produces real anxiety. A simple example. We've all read a book, right? Let's say it's a mystery. And you get into that mystery, and I tell you, okay, put the book down. I want you to stop after reading the first 5 chapters. How many of you could do that? There's a part inside you that wants to know what happened, right? You get a little anxious not knowing. In a bigger picture, science has offered answers to a lot of the mysteries in the universe. Causes for illnesses, medicines that reduce symptoms or cure illness. And religion has offered us answers to questions too, like meaning, purpose, giving us ideas like love your neighbor as yourself, or that suffering is caused by attachments to worldly things. And for those who accept those answers, they can feel a little safer, a little less anxious. But here's the conundrum that we face. What truths or beliefs make me feel less anxious might not make you feel less anxious. Heck, they might even make you feel more anxious. But I've come to this point in my life now where I am willing to accept some level of anxiety so that I can embrace letting mystery be. Knowing that my flashlight looking out onto the universe is limited and will always be limited. In fact, all of us are limited. But with limitation can come freedom. You see, I don't have to know everything about everything. Even when prodded by a mystery, I have a choice whether to look deeper into the mystery or accept it with a humble awe and wonder. And when I choose to track down an answer to a mystery, the other thing I try to do is to try to keep myself open to the experience of awe and wonder. I try to keep open myself knowing that I am different from other people and that they have other experiences. And I try to keep open to the possibility that there is more than I can experience from this one little mystery. And that may come to me later. So how do you respond to mystery? When it prods you, when it offers you awe and wonder? And what do you respond to the people around you? How do you respond to them when they experience mystery? And maybe they have a different experience than you. What do you do? Do you take it in? Do you listen? Do you share? There are mysteries also that we are confronted with every day that have no factual answers. Like beauty. What's beautiful? What's fascinating? These are mysteries. And since religion uses the language of metaphor, I want to do that. So let's think about this in the framework of a museum. Let's say the Field Museum, for instance. Now, I happen to be endlessly fascinated with the evolution of dinosaurs, and particularly I like to look at these extinction events. I can easily spend a half day in the Field Museum in that section on dinosaurs and extinction events. It's just, I just learn more and more every time I go. Martha, my lovely wife, on the other hand, is endlessly fascinated by the Siristang Hall of China and the many Native American halls. Now, when we go to the museum and she goes into these halls, I can get through those exhibits in about an hour. Well, she's usually still in the first room, trying to take in every single aspect. It's a lot to see. Which one of us has made the right choice on what to see at the museum? Both? Well, it's a mystery, isn't it? That's part of mystery. It's not either or. Mystery isn't. Mystery is both and. Our brains want to think in terms of either or, right and wrong, black and white. But our hearts, our souls, are often the place where mystery lives, where we can embrace both and. As Unitarian Universalists, we're encouraged to approach mystery from different angles, open to new revelations, and with a willingness to consider other people's point of view. I do that in my own life, my own response to mystery. I've learned from my own response to mystery that my religious beliefs can coexist with my scientific beliefs. So as I think about my response to mystery, here's what I've come to. I'm a Buddhist. I believe everything is transient, and my spiritual practice is meditation and mindfulness. I'm a humanist because I believe I must live meaningfully in the here and now and make the world a better place. I'm a panentheist because I believe in the divinity in all things, but not a god or goddess out there, more in the sense that there is God, goddess, spirit in everything. And I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I affirm our principles and sources in how I live my life. It's not very easy to explain to someone who asks what you believe. My understandings of spirituality is complex, but they've all come out of my bumping up against mystery. Choosing to embrace multiple spiritual paths might seem too difficult, too paradoxical, too conflicted to fit into one person. But we are complex with a mind, heart, A soul, perhaps? And when we experience or consider a mystery, we ask ourselves questions. Whether we explore it with science or religion, or we accept that humble awe and mystery, and yet there's another question to be asked. Do I want to experience mystery, humble awe and wonder? Do I want to examine mystery and learn from it how things work in the world? Or perhaps, do I want to learn more about myself from mystery? Now, that's the question, isn't it? When we choose to learn more about ourselves, what will we discover along the way? What possibilities open up to us? How will our path through life change when we learn more about ourselves? And when we see or experience the world somehow differently? These are big questions. But I believe they're at the heart of how we come up against mystery and respond to it. Again, as Unitarian Universalists, we are a both-and religion. We can do all of these things. We can examine with science or spirituality. We can let the mystery be and or learn more about ourselves from mystery. Perhaps we do them all at the same time. I find that a little complicated for me, at least at this point in my life. I find the path within more fascinating and fulfilling. But it's your choice. Each time you bump up against mystery, for you to figure out how you're going to respond, to figure out what questions you will ask. However you respond, or whatever answers you find, this church is a place where you can share your experiences of mystery and your responses to mystery. How we learn from one another about how we bump up against mystery also expands our own personal possibilities, what we can learn about ourselves and the world, beliefs. Here we can imagine how people all over the world are responding to mystery. And here we can respond to mystery with "I don't know." And that's really okay, because there is so much out there for us all to wonder about together.
As we extinguish our chalice, let us carry its flame in our hearts as we affirm our common exploration of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing hymn number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. The words will be projected.
offer these words by Jane E. Malden as we leave our time together. Now may the love of truth guide you, the warmth of love hold you, the spirit of peace bless you, and the mysteries of the universe always amaze you, this day and in all the days to come. I invite you to turn around and greet one another. Let us share the love of this community.